Claims usually come in within about 15 years. So if you look around 2004, 2005, you see that the blue and green bars together start to hit close to the total reported. That blue bar follows right along with the green 50% claim rate. After that, we know that there are a number of other claims to come in that we haven't gotten yet. What the bill proposes is that we take 35% of reported unclaimed property and direct it to a side account for education. Depending on the time frame within which we do that, you have between $140 million and $265 million. We're guessing that what we would be looking at is about $200 million. With a claim rate of under 50% and a high mark at 58%, plus an additional 35% of reported dollars going to a side account specifically for our K-12 schools, we still fall below that blue line of total reported unclaimed property. So we think that we can safely divert that amount of money while still not having claims come in that we're unable to pay. We also are including language in the bill with a stopgap to ensure that if additional claims come in, there's a way to back some dollars out to pay those claims so that we don't end up falling back on the general fund.
Question. Could you explain a little bit what the unclaimed property is all about? I think I know, but I want to make sure I'm on the same track.
Absolutely. So unclaimed property comes from a number of sources, and this chart actually starts in 1996 because in the early 1990s there were changes to the statute around what constituted unclaimed property. That can come in when an Oregonian passes away and an heir is not able to be found and their estate defaults to the state. That can occur when somebody has a tax refund that they never collect on. That can occur when somebody leaves funds in a bank account past a period of time, and I apologize, I don't know what the length of time is, but after a set period of time, those dollars default back to the state. The state holds those dollars in trust so that if somebody is interested in coming and claiming that property in the future, they're able to do so. But as you see, we hold it currently indefinitely in trust, but as you see, and if I extended this chart back prior to 1996, you'd see a pretty consistent pattern there. That blue bar at the bottom is the amount of dollars claimed. The green line is the 50% claim rate. And you see there's only 2 years where we get above 50% there. It was about 57% for 1999 and 58% for 2004. But the average is around 48, 49% claim rate. And that's a pretty consistent historic average.
Thank you.
The second type of revenue stream that we're looking at dedicating toward a side account for our K-12 schools are one-time revenue streams. In 2017, this body passed a bill that included direction to increase debt collection. The state is attempting to increase debt collection 10% above what was collected in 2017 over the 17-19 biennium. We expect that to be equal to about $50 million. We'd like to dedicate those funds to paying down or to offsetting costs for our K-12 schools within PERS. We are looking at dedicating future lawsuit settlements. There's an unknown there because we don't know what those settlements might be and what they might bring. But lawsuit settlements that are not dedicated to other purposes would be dedicated to a side account within PERS for our K-12 schools. And then finally, in 2009, the legislature passed what was called the tax amnesty bill. It essentially said that if you had back taxes owed and you paid 50% of your late fees, fines, penalties would be waived. That brought in about $40 million. About $20 million of that the Department of Revenue was already trying to track down, but about $20 million of that were new dollars that the Department of Revenue had not identified. So we're including a new tax amnesty portion to the bill to capture back taxes owed that we may not otherwise see paid to the state. The third revenue stream is what are called windfalls or revenue upsides. So there are a number of places where we have volatile revenue sources, and if we look at an average across a number of years, we'd like to capture what comes in above that average on years when volatility spikes up. We're looking at capital gains and estate taxes, beer, wine, and marijuana taxes. We understand that marijuana taxes are a little bit up in the air right now, but we expect to be able to continue with that program. A critical piece of this portion of the bill is that if the kicker kicks, these upsides, these windfalls don't go into the PERS side account, the UAL side account for education. We don't want to take those upsides and put them both into that side account and then have to pay them out in the kicker. So this would only apply in years where there was a windfall and no kicker. We can't get a really accurate idea of what that would be looking forward, particularly because with federal tax reform, we know there's going to be a significant amount of volatility in a number of these areas, especially capital gains and estate taxes. We asked our folks, our financial folks, though, to do a regression to look at what over the last 10 years this would have meant had it been in place 10 years ago. And what they found is that over the last 5 biennia, this would have triggered a deposit in one biennium in 2011-2013, and in that biennium, the capital gains piece alone would have been in the amount of $192 million. So there's a lot of variability here. One of the reasons we can't give you a firm number on what we expect this bill to bring to a side account is because this section has so many unknowns, but that's the type of scale that we're talking about.